Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a subject that I think keeps pretty much every single leader, every manager, every director up at night. It is the eternal struggle for time.
It really is. It's the one resource you absolutely cannot make more of. Once it's gone for good.
Exactly. And I want to open with a bit of a provocative question for everyone listening. I want you to just imagine for a second gaining 5, maybe even 10 hours of high-level, strategic, deep work time back every single week.
That sounds like a fantasy for most people.
It does, right? And here's the kicker. I am not talking about you learning to speed read or drinking more caffeine or, God forbid, sleeping less.
Please don't sleep less. We have, tons of research showing that's just a terrible idea.
Right. This isn't about personal productivity hacks. We are talking about changing one specific relationship, a relationship that you probably already have but are almost certainly underutilizing.
It's the relationship that is, I think, the most overlooked lever for productivity in the entire business world. We're talking about your executive assistant, your admin, your operations coordinator, whatever the title is.
But not just as clerical support. That is the old way of thinking. That's the trap. We're diving into a concept today called the force multiplier.
This is a massive shift. It's moving away from thinking of an admin as someone who just answers the phone or books a flight and really viewing them as a true strategic partner. There's this concept of the 29-hour workday.
The 29-hour workday. Okay, that sounds impossible. Explain that to me.
It's a metaphor, obviously, but the math kind of backs it up. The idea is that if you have the right partnership, you are effectively extending your day without actually extending your hours.
Okay.
You have someone operating as a true extension of you. So if you work 10 hours and they work 8 hours, but those 8 hours are perfectly aligned with your strategic intent, you're effectively producing 18, 20, even 29 hours of impact in a standard day.
I love that framing. And the hook for today, the whole reason we're doing this deep dive, is that the data shows most managers are, they're treating their admins as gatekeepers at best or gophers at worst.
Worst, yeah.
They are completely missing the strategic partner piece.
They're leaving massive capacity on the table. It's like buying a Ferrari and only ever using it to drive to the mailbox at the end of the driveway. It's a waste.
A total waste of potential.
Yeah.
So here's our roadmap for today. We have a lot of ground to cover because we want this to be a real training manual for you. We're going to unpack 3 massive takeaways.
Okay.
First, we're going to break down the 5 levels of delegation. This is the absolute cure for micromanaging.
Oh, it is a game changer. If you are someone who struggles to let go, this is the framework you absolutely need to hear.
Second, we're going to teach you the alignment meeting rhythm. This is the thing that kills chaos before it even starts.
It's your weekly insurance policy against disaster.
Yeah, I like that. And third, we are going to talk about how to turn an admin into a true decision maker, someone who can act in your absence.
Which is the ultimate goal, isn't it? You want a surrogate, not just a helper.
Absolutely. So let's dive right into the executive summary and this mindset shift, because I think before you can change the tactics, you really have to change how you see the entire role.
You do. You have to define the win. What does a successful partnership actually look like?
Right. So paint the picture for us. What is the typical friction point we see in most organizations? The before picture, if you will.
Well, the before is usually a manager who is just drowning. They're buried in email. They're constantly playing calendar Tetris. They're putting out minor fires all day long. And then, sitting 10 feet away or on the other end of a Zoom call is an admin who is just waiting for instructions.
That is just painful to even think about.
It is painful because it's such a waste of talent and potential. The admin is often capable of so much more, but they're stuck in this reactive mode because the manager has this internal monologue of, ugh, I don't have time to explain it, I'll just do it myself.
The classic trap.
The classic trap. So the goal we're aiming for, the win, is a partnership that dramatically increases execution speed. It's not just about getting help. It's about building a leadership capacity system.
I really like that term, leadership capacity system. It takes the hierarchy out of it and focuses on the output, on the function.
Exactly.
So let's contrast the old school versus the new school. What's the difference?
Well, old school is the gatekeeper.
The person who just says, no, sorry, he's in a meeting.
Exactly. Typing, filing, booking travel, very, very transactional. It's frankly 1950s thinking. The modern strategic partner.
It's completely different. First off, we're talking about a workflow owner.
A workflow owner, what does a workflow owner look like in practice? Break that down. Okay, so it means they don't just do the task, they own the process. So instead of you saying, hey, can you schedule a meeting with the team? And them just blindly sending out invites.
Right.
They're looking at the entire workflow of that meeting. Do we have an agenda? Are the materials prepped and sent out beforehand? Did we actually follow up on the action items from the last meeting?
Mm.
Is the tech in the conference room even working? They own the success of that block of time, not just the scheduling of it.
That is a huge difference. They aren't just filling a slot on the calendar, they're ensuring that the slot has value.
Precisely. They are also a project coordinator. Think about, complex events, a product launch, a large stakeholder meeting. They aren't just ordering the lunch, they're managing the timeline. They're chasing deliverables from other people. They're making sure all the key stakeholders are prepped and know their roles.
And a comms filter. That sounds critical.
Oh, it's maybe the most critical piece. They triage the noise. In today's world of information overload, you need someone who can separate the signal from the static.
So they're the ones who decide what actually needs my attention.
They're the first line of defense. They ensure the manager only sees what actually matters, what requires their unique input.
And finally, decision support.
Yes.
Okay.
They aren't just handing you a pile of raw info. They're analyzing data. They're providing briefing notes. They're essentially saying, here are the 3 options, here are the pros and cons, and based on what I know of our goals, here is what I think we should do.
They're the secret weapon.
Secret weapon. I read that in the research. It said a modern EA is a problem solver, a master organizer, and a confidant, all rolled into one.
It's really about being an extension of the leader's office. If you're a manager, your admin should be able to speak for you, to think like you, and ultimately to act for you in certain domains.
Okay, so that's the destination. That's what we're aiming for. But how do we get there? We need some, foundational principles. And looking at our stack of research here, a lot of this goes back to the grandfather of management theory himself, Peter Drucker. You can't talk about effectiveness without talking about Drucker. It's impossible.
You really can't. So let's look at how Drucker's core principles about time and effectiveness apply specifically to this manager-admin dynamic. Principle number 1, know thy time.
Drucker famously said that time is the scarcest resource. And unless it is managed, nothing else can be managed. It's the foundation of everything.
So how does a manager and an admin actually apply this? Because, knowing your time can just feel like a guilt trip sometimes.
It can, but the application is very practical. You have to do a time audit. It sounds tedious, I know, but it is so revealing. The manager and the admin literally sit down together and look at the calendar for the last 2 weeks. Where did time actually go versus where the manager thinks it went?
And it's always shocking, isn't it?
Always, without fail. You realize you spent 4 hours just going back and forth scheduling meetings or 3 hours answering basic inquiries that could have been handled with a simple template. The application here is to identify those low-value repetitive activities and offload them immediately.
And the goal isn't just to have the admin do your busy work.
No, not at all. The goal is to create large, uninterrupted blocks of time for the manager. Drucker was huge on this. You cannot do strategic thinking in 15-minute increments between Zoom calls. It's just not possible.
You need deep work time.
You need deep work time. And the admin's job is to defend those blocks like a bouncer at an exclusive club. Nothing gets through unless it's critical.
That leads perfectly to principle number 2, focus on contribution.
This is the question that every single leader must ask themselves, probably every single day. What can I uniquely contribute?
What is the thing that only I, in my role, can do?
Exactly. If you're the director of sales, your unique contribution is probably setting strategy, building high-level client relationships, and coaching your team. If you are spending your time fine-tuning the font size on slide decks or sorting through routine expense reports, you are failing to focus on contribution.
Ouch. That is a hard pill to swallow for some of us who, like to control the font size on the slides.
It feels like control, but it's false control. It feels like you're working, but you're actually procrastinating on the harder, more important work. The rule should be everything else, anything that is not your unique contribution, should be a candidate for delegation to the admin.
Which brings us to principle 3, make strength productive.
I love this one. This is about dividing labor based on talent, not just on hierarchy.
Okay, give us an example of that. What does that look like?
Okay, so let's say the manager is a classic visionary. Big ideas, great on stage, charismatic, but absolutely disorganized when it comes to travel details or logistics.
I feel seen right now.
Many leaders are like that. In that case, the admin takes 100% ownership of all logistics. It's their domain. But let's flip it. Maybe the admin is a fantastic editor and writer, a real wordsmith.
Okay.
Even though the manager is the boss, the admin should be the one drafting the first version of important policies or external communications,
Mhm.
because that is their
So
strength.
you're building a team based on a skills matrix, not just an org chart.
Precisely. You make the team's strengths productive, and you make the weaknesses irrelevant. That is the definition of a high-performing team.
I love that. Okay, principle number 4 is one of my personal favorites. First things first, and then posteriorities.
Posteriorities, it's such a great Drucker term. We all know what priorities are, the things we need to do. Posteriorities are the things we must consciously decide not to do.
And this is where the admin becomes the enforcer, right?
They have to be. The manager and admin sit down and decide, these are our top 3 priorities for this quarter, period. The admin's job then is to look at every single incoming request, every meeting invitation, and ask, does this serve one of our top 3 priorities? If the answer is no, they politely decline on the manager's behalf.
That requires an incredible amount of trust.
Massive trust. But it's what saves the manager from death by 1,000 paper cuts. It protects the first things from being crowded out by the second things.
And that really is the biggest hurdle, isn't it? Trust. I talk to managers all the time and say, I want to delegate. I really do. But if I delegate, it won't be done right. It won't be done the way I would do it.
That is the delegation trap. It's this all or nothing thinking, the fear that delegation is binary. Either I do it myself and it's perfect, or I just toss it over the wall and it's a complete disaster.
That's not binary.
Not at all. It's a spectrum. And this is where we get into what is probably the most practical tool in this whole deep dive, the 5 levels of delegation. This framework, which we've adapted from folks like Michael Hyatt and others, is the solution to micromanaging.
Okay, let's unpack these levels one by one. This is crucial for anyone listening who struggles to let go. Level 1, what is it?
Level 1 is the most basic. It's simply do exactly what I say.
Strict compliance, no creativity.
Zero creativity.
Mm.
This is enter these survey responses into this spreadsheet using this exact template, or book this specific flight on this specific airline for these specific dates.
When would you actually use this?
You use this with a brand new admin who's still learning your preferences. Or for highly sensitive confidential tasks, or maybe routine data entry where there's absolutely zero room for error or interpretation. It's not a bad place to start, but the key is you don't want to stay there.
Right, if you stay there, you're not a leader, you're just the puppet master. Okay, level 2 is where it starts to get interesting. Research and report.
Research and report. This is where you delegate the legwork, but you keep the decision-making authority. You say, go gather the information, bring it back to me in a neat package, and I will decide what to do next.
Okay, I think we need to hear what this sounds like in practice. Because a lot of managers, I think, they mess up the actual handoff. Let's do a quick role play. I'll be the manager, you be the admin. Let's say we need to find a venue for a team offsite.
Okay, sounds good. I'm ready.
Hey, we need to get a venue locked down for the team offsite next month. Can you please find 3 solid options in the downtown area? I'm going to need the costs, the capacity, the availability, and a quick list of pros and cons for each one. Don't book anything yet, just bring me the data.
Got it. So 3 options with cost, capacity, and pros and cons. I'll research those and have the comparison sheet ready for you by Thursday.
Perfect, let's break scene. That was simple, but what was the key constraint that I put in there?
The key constraint was don't book anything yet.
Mm.
You were very clear that you were keeping the final decision authority. You just delegated the hours of Googling and making phone calls.
Right, so I'm saving a ton of time, but I still own the final choice. This is a safe way to start building trust.
Exactly. Now, level 3. Level 3 is the pivot point. This is research and recommend.
This is my favorite level, I think.
It's the best one for development, hands down. Here, the admin brings you the options, plus a specific recommendation of their own. They have to pick a horse in the race.
And why is that recommendation piece so critically important?
Because it tests the admin's judgment. It forces them to stop thinking like a task doer and start thinking like a manager. They have to consider the budget, the team's needs, your preferences, all of it. If they bring you 3 options and say, I recommend option B, it's slightly over budget, but it has the breakout rooms we need and the AV is way better, and you agree with their logic.
You just validated their judgment.
You've just verified their thinking. You now know they can see the problem the same way you do. And if their reasoning is solid, you can just say green light it. It's incredibly efficient.
And that eventually leads to level 4, decide and inform.
Now, we're really cooking.
Yeah.
This is where you are trusting them to make the call themselves.
But, and this is the important part, they have to tell you what they did after the fact. The inform part is the safety net.
Exactly. No surprises.
Let's role play this one. A different scenario, maybe catering for a board meeting. Hey, you've got the catering for the board meeting next week. You know the budget, you know the dietary needs. I trust your judgment. I don't need to see the menu. Just make sure it's handled and let me know who we went with so I'm not surprised when they show up.
Done. I've booked XYZ Catering. They've done great work for us before. We're all set for next week.
See, that feels scary for some people. I don't need to see the menu. That's a big leap.
It is scary the first time, but think about the mental load you just shed.
Yeah.
You don't need to care about the specific sandwich fillings. You care that the board is fed good food on time and on budget. You trust the admin to manage those details.
And the key phrase was, let me know who we went with. That keeps me in the loop without keeping me in the weeds.
Yes, you aren't in the dark, but you aren't in the details. That's the sweet spot.
And finally, level 5, the top of the mountain. Act independently.
This is trust completely. This is full autonomy. No reporting back is required unless something goes wrong.
So this is for total ownership of a domain.
Exactly. This is where you want your admin to be on things like your calendar management or your inbox triage. You don't want them asking you, hey, can I schedule this meeting at 2? You want them to just own the calendar, to manage it as if it were their own. They know your priorities, they know who to say yes to, and who to politely decline.
Now here's the catch. The sources we looked at emphasize a major pitfall here called the mismatch.
The mismatch is the source of so much frustration and conflict in this relationship. It's huge.
Explain that. What is the mismatch?
The mismatch is when the manager has one level in their head and the admin has a different one. The classic example is the manager expects level 2, just bring me the research. But the admin thinks it's level 4. Decide and fix it for me.
So the admin goes out and books the expensive offsite venue without approval.
And the manager completely freaks out. Why did you book that? I just wanted to see the options. We can't afford that. Right. Suddenly, the admin feels micromanaged and untrusted, and the manager feels completely out of control.
Or you get the reverse.
Right. The manager thinks, I gave them this project. Why is nothing happening? And the admin is sitting there with a completed research report, just waiting for the manager to review it and give them the green light. They think they're at level 2, but the manager expected level 4. The project stalls.
So the fix seems almost too simple. You have to explicitly state the level.
You have to say the words. I am delegating this to you at level 3. Please research the options and bring me back a recommendation by Friday. It takes 5 extra seconds, and it clarifies the authority and expectations instantly.
That is such a practical takeaway for anyone listening. If you take just one thing from this section, start using the language of the levels. This is a level 2 task. I need you to handle this at level 5.
It removes all the ambiguity and the potential for misunderstanding. It's a shared language for delegation.
So we've got the levels, but you can't just jump from level 1 to level 5 overnight. You have to build that trust. And the outline calls this next section, Building Trust Without Micromanaging.
This is the art, isn't it? It's a delicate balance. You need to verify their work to build confidence, but you don't want to hover over their shoulder and make them feel like you don't trust them.
So how do we bridge that gap? How do we move up the ladder?
We move from a mindset of trust but verify to a system of process as freedom.
Process as freedom. I like the sound of that.
It starts with highly structured tasks, clear checklists. In other words, you document the process. We call them SOP, standard operating procedures.
I can hear the eyes rolling from here. SOPs. That sounds like soul-crushing bureaucracy.
It sounds boring, I get it. But good documentation is actually liberation. It's what allows you to let go.
Explain that connection. How does documentation create freedom?
Okay, think about triaging your email inbox. The first time, you sit down once and you explain exactly how you want it done. If an email is from the CEO, start and text me. If it's an external newsletter, archive it immediately. If it's a client inquiry, use this template to draft a reply. You create a checklist or a simple flowchart. Once the admin can follow that checklist perfectly, you don't have to check their work anymore. The system checks the work. The SOP becomes the source of truth. You can trust the process, which allows you to trust them.
So the SOP is what allows you to step back without worrying that things will fall apart.
Exactly. If they follow the recipe every single time, the cake is going to come out right. You trust the recipe, not just the baker.
And as part of that, you also need to clarify boundaries.
This is the safety rail. You have to be crystal clear about what is in their domain and what must always be escalated to you.
So for example,
You might say, You have full authority to reply to all routine client emails and schedule any internal meetings. But
But you must escalate anything involving a legal threat, a major client complaint, or a press inquiry.
exactly, you define the do not touch zone. That gives the admin the psychological safety to run really fast and be autonomous in the safe zone because they know exactly where the cliff edge is.
The ultimate goal here, as the white paper describes it, is for the admin to become a surrogate.
A surrogate. I love this concept. It's so powerful. It means they know your mind, your priorities, and your values so well that they can sit in a meeting in your place or make a decision in your absence, and you have complete confidence that they will decide exactly how you would have decided.
That is the force multiplier effect in its purest form. You are literally in two places at once.
Yes, that is how you get the 29-hour day, when you and your admin are perfectly in sync, acting as one unit.
Okay, so this is all great in theory. Let's pivot to the mechanics of making this partnership work day to day. We have the mindset, we have the delegation levels. Now, how do we stay in sync? Section 5 is about the weekly alignment meeting.
The keystone habit.
Yeah.
If you do nothing else that we talk about today, do this. This one meeting will change everything.
So why do most one-on-ones fail? Because I know a lot of managers who have them on the calendar, but they cancel them constantly.
They fail because they're totally unstructured. They devolve into these random chats. Hey, how's it going? Good. Any issues? No. Okay, cool. That's a complete waste of everyone's time,
Or they get skipped because we're too busy.
which is the most tragic irony. You're too busy because you didn't hold the meeting that would organize your busyness and prevent the chaos. This meeting must be sacrosanct, non-negotiable.
When's the best time to hold it?
Monday morning is highly recommended. First thing, get ahead of the week before it starts running you over. 45 to 60 minutes max.
Walk us through the standing agenda. If I'm a manager listening to this and I want to start next week, what specifically should we be covering?
Okay, there are 6 core parts to a great alignment meeting. Number 1, top priorities. You start by aligning on the big picture. What does success look like for us this week?
So something like by Friday, the absolute most important thing is that we finalize and submit the budget proposal.
Exactly. You name the 1 to 3 big rocks for the week. Number 2, the calendar walkthrough. This is where you get tactical. You go day by day through the coming week on a shared screen.
Why day by day? Why not just a quick glance?
Because the devil is in the details. When you go day by day, you spot the friction points. You see, whoa, I have 5 back-to-back meetings on Tuesday with no break. I won't even have time to eat lunch. The admin can then fix that now before Tuesday becomes a nightmare.
They're acting as your air traffic controller.
100%.
Uh-huh.
They're also briefing you for key meetings. Okay, on Wednesday, you're meeting with the director for marketing. Just a reminder, she was really concerned about the timeline on Project X last time you spoke. That little bit of context is gold.
So valuable. Okay, item 3 on the agenda.
Task updates. This is a quick status check on all the delegated projects. You use a shared task list, Asana, Trello, whatever. You don't let open loops stay open. Where are we on the report? Waiting on a number from finance. Okay, I'll ping them right after this meeting. You close the loops.
Item 4, new assignments or changes.
The week never goes exactly as planned. Hey, over the weekend I had a great idea for the offsite, or the CEO just dropped a new priority on us. This is where you recalibrate the week's plan based on new information.
Item 5, problem solving.
This is so important. This is where you improve the system. You say, the way we handled the scheduling for those candidate interviews last week was chaotic. How do we fix the process so it's smoother next time? You fix the system, not just the single instance of the problem.
And the final item, number 6.
The look ahead. You zoom out and you look 2 to 3 weeks out. What's coming down the pipe that's going to hit us? A big conference? A board report? You start preparing now to prevent the last-minute scramble later.
I want to share the real-world example from the notes here because it makes it so tangible. It mentions a department chair and an admin having this exact Monday meeting.
Right.
They sit down, they're doing the calendar walkthrough, and they catch a double booking conflict involving a major donor. And in the same review, they notice that a key faculty member was accidentally left off an invite for an important committee meeting.
Seems like tiny little details.
They seem tiny, but if they hadn't caught them in that meeting, what happens?
Well, the double booking becomes a deeply embarrassed donor and a potential hit to a key relationship. The missing invite becomes a political issue. That faculty member feels slighted, disrespected.
Why wasn't I invited? What's going on?
Exactly. That 45-minute meeting prevented 2 major headaches and probably saved 5 to 10 hours of damage control and cleanup later in the week.
That is the ROI right there.
That's the ROI. It's proactive, not reactive.
So that's the weekly sync. That's the tactical rhythm that keeps the trains running on time. But there's another equally important rhythm we need to talk about, which is Section 6, the monthly feedback and growth meeting.
The maintenance meeting. I like to call it the partnership tune-up.
And this is distinct from the weekly tactical meeting, right?
Yes, absolutely. You must not mix them. The weekly meeting is about the work. The monthly meeting is about the partnership and the systems that support the work.
How often should this happen?
Every 4 to 6 weeks is the sweet spot.
And what's on the agenda for this one? It's not about tasks.
No. First and foremost, it's about mutual feedback. And I cannot emphasize the word mutual enough. This is a two-way street.
That's scary for a lot of bosses to actually sit there and ask, tell me what I'm doing that's making your job harder.
It is, but it's essential for growth. The manager can say, I loved how you handled the logistics for Project X last month. It was flawless. But then they also have to be open to hearing, it would really help me if you could loop me in earlier on projects like Y. I felt a bit behind the 8 ball on that one.
And the manager has to ask, what can I do differently to help you be more effective?
Yes. Maybe the admin says, you keep sending me urgent requests via text message at 9 p.m. It really stresses me out. Can we agree that anything after 6 p.m. goes into an email for me to see in the morning? You have to be willing to hear that and to fix it.
What else is on the agenda?
You do a systems check. Is our shared past tracker actually working for us? Is there a piece of software we could be using that would make our lives easier? You're looking at the tools and processes.
And workload balance.
Critically important. Is the admin on the verge of burning out? Are we about to enter a really busy season, like the end of the quarter or a big product launch? Do we need to plan ahead and maybe bring in some temporary help? You have to check in on sustainability.
And finally, professional development.
Right. Where does the admin want to go? What skills do they want to learn? Do they want to get better at project management? Learn advanced Excel. This is where you show you're invested in them as a person and a professional, not just as a pair of hands. You want them to view this as a career, not just a job.
That segues perfectly into our next section, Section 7, goal setting. Because admins need real goals, too.
They absolutely do.
Yeah.
And not just a goal like keep the calendar organized. That's not a goal, that's a job description. It's the baseline expectation.
And for this, we use the classic SMART framework. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
The gold standard for a reason. It turns vague wishes into concrete targets.
So let's give the listeners 3 really concrete examples of what a great SMART goal for an admin actually looks like. Because I think a lot of people struggle to apply this to a support role.
Okay, great idea. Example number 1 would be in the category of process improvement. The goal could be reduce the average response time for new client inquiries from 48 hours to 24 hours by implementing a new email tracking system and a set of templates by the end of Q2.
Okay, that's perfect. It's specific, 24 hours. Measurable, we can track it. Achievable with a new system. Relevant, it impacts clients. And time-bound end of Q2. I like it.
Exactly. Example number 2, event execution. A goal could be independently coordinate all logistics for the annual spring symposium, ensuring we stay 5% under budget and achieve a 90% or higher attendee satisfaction rating on the post-event survey.
I love that one because they own the outcome, not just the tasks. The satisfaction score is the real measure of success.
Right. If the coffee is cold and the Wi-Fi doesn't work, that satisfaction score drops. They own the coffee and the Wi-Fi. It gives them true ownership.
Okay, give us one more. Example 3.
How about one focused on calendar efficiency? The goal could be implement a new calendar color coding system and a standardized meeting request form to reduce scheduling conflicts and back-and-forth emails by 50% by the end of this semester.
These are great because they turn the admin from a reactive task doer into a proactive systems optimizer. They aren't just booking stuff, they are actively improving the operational machine of the team.
And just as importantly, it gives them a tangible sense of victory. At the end of the quarter, they can look at that goal and say, I did that. I improved that metric. Everyone wants to know what winning looks like in their job.
We're getting towards the end here, and I want to tie all of these pieces together and talk about the operating system. Section 8, building a high-performance partnership.
This is the glue. These are the underlying principles and tools that make everything else we've talked about actually work.
And it starts with the fundamentals, trust and respect, and the core rule is no surprises.
It's all about psychological safety. The admin has to know that if they make a mistake, and they will because they're human, they can come to you immediately without getting their head bitten off. If they feel like they have to hide a mistake, it will always, always get worse.
And personal connection is part of that too.
It is. You don't have to be best friends. You don't have to hang out on weekends, but you have to know them as a person. Taking 2 minutes at the start of the alignment meeting to ask about their weekend or their family, that builds the relational resilience the partnership needs to weather stressful times.
Okay, let's talk about the hard infrastructure, the accountability tools. We
Right.
can't just rely on memory and goodwill.
Never. A shared calendar is absolute table stakes. That's non-negotiable. And a shared task list is a very close second. Microsoft To Do, Asana, Trello, Planner, I don't care what you use.
Just pick one and commit to it as your single source of truth for who is doing what by when.
Exactly. And SOPs. We've mentioned them before, but having a shared folder with checklists for all recurring events is a lifesaver. An end-of-semester checklist, a new hire onboarding checklist, a monthly board report checklist. It saves so much brain power and prevents things from falling through the cracks.
Let's look at the case study from the research. Dr. James and Maria, this really brings it all together.
It's a great story of a total transformation.
So walk us through the journey. How did they start?
So Dr. James started like most managers. He's a classic micromanager. He's checking every single email Maria drafts. He's hovering. He's basically operating at a level 1 or level 2 delegation on almost everything.
The classic, Maria, can you draft this, but let me see it before you dare hit send.
That was him, to a T. But they were both frustrated, so they committed to the system. They started holding the weekly alignment meeting religiously. He started using the 5 levels language to clarify his expectations, and gradually, slowly, he started letting go.
So Maria started moving up the ladder.
She did. First, she started just drafting replies. Then she started sending the replies for routine matters herself. That's moving from level 2 to level 3 to level 4. Eventually, Maria was managing his entire calendar independently. That's a solid level 5. She even started attending certain committee meetings for him, taking notes, and briefing him afterward. She became his surrogate.
And what was the result? The outcome.
The result was that Dr. James gained between 5 and 10 hours of high-value strategic work time back every single week. That is a massive, massive win.
And what about Maria? How did it affect her?
She felt a huge sense of ownership and empowerment. She used this fantastic phrase. She said she was turning chaos into conquest. She wasn't just a helper anymore. She was a genuine strategic partner. Her job satisfaction went through the roof, and of course, she became an incredibly valuable, high-retention employee.
That is the dream outcome. Chaos into conquest. I love that.
It really is.
But before we wrap up, we have to look at the dark side. We have to cover Section 9, the pitfalls and corrections. What are the common mistakes that managers make that completely sabotage this partnership? Let's do a rapid-fire list.
Okay, let's do it. Mistake number 1, the mind reader expectation.
Ah, yes. Expecting them to just magically know what to do without ever holding an alignment meeting or downloading your brain.
The correction is obvious. Hold the alignment meeting. You have to download your brain on a regular schedule. They cannot read your mind.
Okay, mistake number 2, the gopher trap.
This is when you only assign low-value, boring, repetitive tasks. Getting coffee, making copies. You're treating a talented professional like an intern.
And the result is...
High turnover. The best, most ambitious admins will leave you in a heartbeat for a role where they can actually grow.
Number 3, the dump and run.
This is delegating a big project without ever specifying the level of delegation we talked about. It creates a total confusion.
And the correction script is...
Use the language. I need you to handle this at level 3. Bring me a recommendation by Thursday. Be explicit.
Number 4, skipping the weekly sync. The classic, we're too busy to meet.
The correction here is a mindset shift. The meeting saves time. It's an investment in an efficient week, not a cost. Protect that time block at all costs.
And number 5, micromanaging competence. Ooh, that's a painful one. Staying stuck at level 2, demanding to see everything, when the admin has clearly demonstrated they are ready for level 4 autonomy.
It absolutely kills morale. You have to be willing to let go and promote them up the delegation ladder as they prove themselves. Otherwise, what's the point of them growing?
This has been incredibly practical. I feel like I need to go apologize to my own team and immediately set up some better meetings.
It's never too late to reset the relationship. You can start tomorrow.
Let's do the outro. Let's give the listener who is driving and wants the cheat sheet, the 5-point summary recap. What are the 5 biggest takeaways?
Okay, number 1, shift your mindset. Treat your admin as a strategic partner, a force multiplier, not just a helper.
Number 2,
Use the 5 levels of delegation. Be explicit about the level of authority you are giving for every single task.
number 3,
Hold the weekly alignment meeting religiously. It is your single best tool for preventing chaos.
Number 4.
Conduct monthly systems and feedback reviews. The weekly meeting is for the work, the monthly meeting is for the partnership.
And number 5.
Set SMART goals for your admin. Give them a way to win and grow in their role.
Boom, that's the playbook. Final thought for everyone listening.
That effectiveness as a leader can be learned. It's not just about what you do. In fact, it's mostly about what you empower others to do on your behalf.
So here is my challenge to you, the listener. Don't try to do all of this at once. Take one practice, just one. Maybe it's starting the weekly sync. Maybe it's just using the level language on one task. Start it next Monday. See what happens. Start building your own secret weapon.
You will not regret it.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.